Hello to all my dear friends. So today we are going to do a chapter named Sorting Materials into Groups, as you can see over here. So as we are going to slowly learn through this chapter, we will learn about so many things and discuss about so many things that we didn't know before. So let's start the chapter. So first in this chapter we will learn explain the need of classification, why classification is important, and different properties and different types of properties and materials based on their common properties, and we are going to learn all of them in this chapter. So here you can see a graph sorting material. So here it's written sorting material, that the material which you want to sort, like here is an apple, here is an any object, like so many objects are placed on a table over here, and you have to sort it based on their characteristics. That's what sorting materials into groups is basically. So let's start. Sorting materials. First, we have to figure that what is the need for sorting and why we are sorting that material, and what is the basis of the sorting. First, if we go for the need of sorting, then we need luster, texture, and solubility, flammability, magnetic nature. So you will say that what is all these things? Well, this question what will be answered in this chapter, and as in this video when we will learn and understand this. Look at the image of the some common objects that you use, like a can and some metal things over here, and a button, flip-flops, and a box, cardboard box, and some gum boots, and paper clips, and a spoon. Observe how the objects are similar and different, and sort them into groups according to their similarities and their characteristics. In the same objects may appear in two or more groups. So what we can do over here, see, we have to sort it. So here you can see how can we sort it. We can sort it on based on the reason of they are made through. So slippers and rain boots, plate and button, all these four things are made up of plastic. Now see, this thing over here, fish can, and this bracelet and this cardboard box, just keep this box, these paper clip and this spoon are all objects made up of metal. So here we can write metal, and we can write all of the four objects that we have just mentioned above here. What are those four? They were tin can and the bracelet and the paper clip spoon. Okay, so now as we have figured how to sort material into groups, now let's start the chapter. In the let's begin over here, we have studied and we have saw that we put various objects into groups based on some visible characteristics. The process of grouping these things based on some known criteria is called classification or grouping. See, what is grouping? As you can see over here, there is a word written grouping, and it's also its explanation what is grouping and why grouping is important. the process of grouping things, when you group or classify things into a group, it's called classification or sorting materials. Now, let us first understand the need to sort material into groups. It helps the sorting objects helps us in so many ways. It makes it easy for us to find what we need. Like, suppose you have put all of your things that you do regularly, uh, the things that you use regularly, in a box, and then if you want the things, you can just search in the box. But if you keep it somewhere else without sorting it, then it will be a bit difficult to find it. Now, it allows the systematic study of things or objects. Like, you know, a systematic study of things or objects, like there is a school bag, and you have well known that where have you kept your lunch, where are your books, where is your water bottle, and where are your pencil pouch. So if you mix all things up and you will not get to know anything, then all of the things will spoil. That's what it allows, a systematic study of objects. It helps us to choose the right material for a particular purpose. Like, you need salt, but you use sugar. That's what basically classification is. You have to classify salt and sugar into two different boxes, or two different things where you can classify it. Materials are what are materials? We have another topic named materials. So, materials are substances that are used to make different objects. Some common materials are wood, plastic, paper, glass, and metal. Table and chairs may be made up of wood. Soft drinks bottles and water bottles may be of plastic, while the window grills and ceiling fans may be made up of metals. So what does it tell us? That materials are substances that are used to make so many things. Like, paper is a material and it's used to make books and notebooks and so many things. Such as that, glass is also a material. It's not an object, it is a material, like you can see over here. And it used to make window glass and the glass of or the cup that you drink in. And metal, all of these, wood, plastic, paper, glass, and metal, are materials. Soft drinks, water bottles, and bottles may be made up of plastic, of course, because you have seen water bottles in common shops. Now, grills and ceiling fans may be made up of metals. Yes, because they need to be strong. You have seen windows with metal grills. Now, here is another activity. You have to write the object made up of that material. You can write bottles, plastic bottles, and toys, etc. In wood, you can write table or chair, etc. And in metal, you can write grills, and like, you can write so many things, but there are some in difference. Or you may write ceiling fans, as we have learned before. So all of these things over here are known as the materials, as we have learned, and all of these things are the objects made from the material. Now let's move on. Are there any objects in your list that can be made from one or more than one type of material? Like suppose one object can be made up of different materials, isn't it? Like for example, your pencil box may be made of metal or plastic. Similarly, a teacup may be made up of ceramic, thermocol, plastic, etc. Well, that's true because one object can be made up of so many things. Like, see a cricket bat. A cricket bat can be made by different things, isn't it? It could be made by plastic or it could be made by wood. So, the cricket bat itself could be made by plastic or wood. That's what it's trying to say, that a thing can be made by one or more type of materials. For example, a pressure cooker may be made up of metal, but the handle is made up of plastic. It's called the bakelite. Look around you and identify two more examples. Like you have seen a cycle, isn't it? Well, a cycle's body, like this is a cycle, suppose, and its body is made up of whole metal. The body of a cycle is basically made up of a metal, but the parts like its handles, cover, and sometimes there is a basket in front, and these things are made up of plastic, but the body of the cycle is made up of metal. That's what it says, that an object can be made up of two or different materials. All materials are made up of matter. Matter is anything that has mass and occupies space. Everything around you is made up of matter. The food you eat and the chair you sit on, the air you are breathing now, and even the water that you drink commonly, each and everything is made up of matter. The space occupied by matter is known as its volume. See what's volume? The space occupied by matter is known as its volume. Now, since every material occupies space, as we know, every material has its own volume. Mass is a measure of how much matter is in an object. See, everything. Suppose this is a notebook or book. You can say that this thing over here is a book. So, if the book has must have a particular weight or a particular mass and a particular volume, because it is a solid, and as you have all learned that a solid have a particular mass and a particular volume which never changes. So, if it has its particular mass and its particular volume, then the mass is what the measurement of matter and how much matter is in that object. Matter is made up of tiny particles that we cannot see with the naked eyes, and the particles of different materials have different properties, and that's why different materials have different properties. As this says that any object can be made up of different materials and different matters. That's why different materials have different properties, because the materials are different, and that's why the different materials have different properties, because they're different. There is something special in every material over there. Now, let us see about the properties of materials. Let us learn about some special properties which materials can be classified through. So, first property is luster. Have you ever noticed that objects made of copper, tin, steel appear to be shiny? Well, yes, because we see it in our daily lives. All metals, when in a pure state, are shiny. Shine or luster is a gentle glow that we see on some objects. Like suppose you have a very glossy plate, suppose, because it's very new, and you can see the reflection of light that falls on that object, and the light is going back through because it does a reflection because the surface is very smooth. Now the objects that shine are called lustrous materials, while the objects that do not shine are called non-lustrous or dull materials. It's very common because the shining of a object is known as luster. So if they shine, it's lustrous. If they don't, it's non-lustrous. And this property of metals is used to making jewelries, statues, and decorative pieces. Sometimes objects, maybe metals, appear dull as they lose their shine when they undergo chemical reactions when exposed to the air and moisture. Yes, it's common and it's true. Can be made to shine again by removing the outer layer. Like you have seen, like things like you have seen copper, right? Suppose there is a copper jug. You have seen copper jug at some point of your life. This is suppose a copper jug. So what can you think of it? Is the copper jug never going to be lose its shine? At some moment it's going to lose its shine, but if we remove its outer layer completely, then it will be shining completely at all. Now let's see the next property, which is hardness. Some objects are hard when we touch them. Hard materials are difficult to compress, squeeze or press. For example, compress is something like there is a sponge. You have seen a painting sponge. When you compress it, it compresses. And when you leave it, or like say don't compress it, then it will expand again. That's what compressing is. For example, a stone is hard and a rubber is soft. It is easy to scratch the surface of soft material, whereas hard material cannot be scratched because their surface is very hard and the force could not get into it. Hence, it's easier to scratch an eraser and not an iron object, because as materials are harder than rubber. Now, texture. Some objects are smooth and to the touch, while others may feel rough. When we touch them, a glass object is smooth while a concrete wall feels rough and uneven. Like suppose you touch a mobile screen. Here is a mobile screen, and if you touch it, it appears to be very smooth. But if you touch a concrete wall or a rough, say a rough rock or anything that's rough, you will feel a bit roughness. Like suppose this is a brick and you just move your hand through it, don't you feel any roughness and unevenness? You will, because it is uneven and rough. Now the rest of it we will study in the next part of the video, sorting material and groups. For today it's all that, and hope you like the video. If you did, don't forget to like, share and subscribe.